Recently, GoPro launched their Max Lens mod for the Hero 9 Black. Now the lens mod costs $99, and if you're a GoPro subscriber, you can get it for $69. Of course, that subscription does have a cost monthly at $4.17. And before I go any further, I just want to be clear, I'm not sponsored by GoPro or by Grav Grip. I've purchased these items with my own money, so I can give you an honest opinion and a review. Now, the lens mod for the GoPro Hero 9 goes where the existing lens is at, which means it is removable, so you can switch between both. This video will run down several action mountain bike sections with different modes to use on the GoPro. There's going to be turns, jumps, and off-camera areas to really show what the lens mod can do, and each run is kind of short but long enough to show us what these things are about. What I won't be doing in this video is unboxing the lens mod, taking it apart, showing you how to do all the various different things or the settings on the GoPro. I'm just going to get right to it. Now the Grav Grip, this is a new gimbal that's going to set you back at about $35. That's not bad. It is waterproof, it does not run off batteries, but it runs off gravity. I'm going to test this gimbal with the Hero 9 toward the end and then give you some of my assessments. But please give me your point of view in the comment section. If you like this video, remember to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe so you can get much more content that's going to be coming soon to this channel just for you. What we're about to see is the Hero 9 with the lens mod in several modes, and then we'll take a look at the standard lens in a few modes, and then we'll take a look at the Grav Grip with the Hero 9 Black to compare the lens mod. I'm going to test linear plus horizon leveling with the lens mod, the standard lens with horizon leveling, and then hyper smooth and boost modes. Now, let's get to the first of several action cam runs.
Lens mod 2.7K, not in a 4:3 aspect ratio, 30 frames per second, horizon level on, hyper smooth on, max super view. Again with the lens mod 2.7K, again no 4:3 aspect, 30 frames per second, horizon lock is off this time, hyper smooth is on, but this time we're doing the wide lens. We're not in max super view, we're doing the wide lens. Want to see if it's making the screen taller or wider. How does it look with the lens mod? Lens mod 2.7, 30 frames per second, horizon on, hyper smooth on, max super view. Okay, 2.7, 30 frames per second, horizon level off, hyper smooth on, max super view. Okay, here is the lens mod. 1440, 30 frames per second. Horizon is on, hyper smooth on, max super view. Lens mod with the 1440, 30 frames per second. Horizon lock is off, hyper smooth on in max super view. Lens mod, 1080, 30 frames per second. Horizon is on, hyper smooth on, max super view. Now we're doing lens mod again, 1080, 30 frames per second. This time horizon is off. The last 1080p had horizon on. This time, this 1080 at 30 frames per second, horizon is off. Hyper smooth is on in max super view. Okay, so now we're going to do the standard lens, 5K, 30 frames per second, horizon lock on, in linear mode, hyper smooth 3.0.
With the standard lens, 5K, linear plus horizon lock, there's cropping vertically, top to bottom. I noticed in fast action shots, where the camera points down and up again quickly, such as this demo, the shot returns back to set position slowly. I thought something was wrong, so I tried it again here, in the same mode, and it did the same thing.
Standard lens, 5K, 30 frames per second. We have linear and horizon lock on again, but this time it's in boost. So hyper smooth is off, boost mode is activated. So it's 5K, 30 frames per second, wide lens, hyper smooth is off. So the wide lens should have opened up the top to see a little bit more. And we want to see just how unstable it is if we run it without hyper smooth or boost on.
Okay, enough of that. It's pretty clear how well hypersmooth works, how well horizon leveling works, and how well boost works. Without these activated, it's pretty much unbearable to watch.
This is standard lens, 4K, 30 frames per second, super view. Now horizon is off, which is why it's in super view. You can't use horizon lock because it goes into linear. So now I'm able to use super view, and I'm able to go into 4K, 30 frames per second. Hyper smooth 3.0 is on. This one is standard lens, 4K, 30 frames per second, super view, horizon leveling obviously is off, and we're in boost. This is the Grav Grip with the lens mod, 2.7, no 4:3 aspect ratio, 60 frames per second. Horizon lock is off. Hyper smooth is on, in max super view. Okay, Grav Grip lens mod, 2.7K, 30 frames per second, linear plus horizon off. Now we're in wide lens, no super view, but wide lens, and hyper smooth 3.0. Excuse me. Now we have the Grav Grip with the lens mod, 1080p, 30 frames per second, linear and horizon off, hyper smooth 3.0. Okay, Grav Grip. Right now, Grav Grip with the lens mod, 1440, 30 frames per second. Linear plus horizon is off. We're in hyper smooth 3.0. Standard lens, 4K, 30 frames per second, super view, horizon off, hyper smooth 3.0.
Alright, so this was not a review of the Grav Grip, but with the Grav Grip, in a comparison with the other things we're looking at, it took me some time to get it set up with the Hero 9, but I think it did really well. The 1440 demo is in the 4:3 aspect ratio, and I'll tell you what, it seemed really fast and showed so much of the vertical picture. Of course, it would need to be expanded in post again, but it brought out so much more in terms of speed and the overall picture vertically not being so cropped. Now to the GoPro footage. Immediately noticeable is that the standard lens in 5K or 4K, it brings in much more detail of the trail and much more field of view. It also appears to not be quite as stable compared to the lens mod on with horizon leveling. However, it is pretty stable. It's just you get used to that horizon leveling and just how well and good it really works. Now, having the trail not as stable is a good thing to some people and not so good to others. Some people appreciate seeing more of the trail being realistic by having some of that wobbleness in there. And other folks just really can't stomach watching a video that has any of that wobble without the gimbal-like effect of stabilization. It is too bad at this point in time they're not able to give you a 5K or 4K with horizon leveling and the lens mod. Did you notice the 2.7K in 4:3 aspect ratio? Though it does not fill the whole screen as 2.7K Super View did, the 4:3 aspect ratio actually gives more field of view and seems to give off a crisper level of detail to the scenery, and the colors seem to be more vibrant with more pop and contrast. There's actually more linear area of the screen showing from top to bottom. Now the only issue is you're going to have to expand the cropped edges to 16.9 in your post editing. Seems to me that is a much better solution to do 4:3 aspect ratio if you want that more field of view, which is what I'm after. The 2.7K non-4:3 aspect ratio, which is 16.9, this was the first video demo. I learned that it's wider than the stock Super View with the standard lens, but it loses some of the depth vertically from top to bottom, so you're going to notice from top to bottom it's not showing that whole big expanse that you get from top to bottom, which is why the 2.7K with the 4:3 aspect ratio actually has more packed into its smaller package, with the needed dynamic expanding in the post though to get it back to 16.9 ratio. I felt like the lens mod with the horizon level on appears to slow the speed of the trail down, which is to say, running lens mod without horizon lock, it feels a little more realistic, like you're on the ride, giving a more honest speed to the ride. When running the max lens mod in 1440, the horizon lock made a big difference in a good usable capture. The 1440 though without horizon lock, it seemed shakier, but the trail did seem fast, like you are in the actual seat of the bike. The standard lens in 4K with boost keeps things really smooth and does an amazing job. I was really impressed by the picture quality with this mode and just how stable it looks. But you do lose some vertical field of view, and I could notice that. How about you? Now the standard lens with 5K linear plus horizon leveling, it crops just way too much vertically. What appears totally evident is that linear plus horizon leveling in the standard lens is just not going to work for mountain bike point of view footage, especially if you want to show the handlebars and see more of the upper region of the vertical perspective. You definitely need the lens mod for that. Alright, what do you all say? For me, I think when it comes to the Grav Grip, I like the lens mod with the Grav Grip at 1440 in the 4:3 aspect ratio with the horizon off, obviously, and the 2.7K with horizon off at 30 frames per second. If I ran Grav Grip again in 2.7K, I would go with the 4:3 aspect ratio and then expand the picture in post editing. Obviously, it kind of defeats the purpose to run Grav Grip with horizon leveling on. Now when it comes to the standard lens, I thought the boost mode really works well. but I'm not too jazzed about the cropping vertically that you lose from top to bottom. I would really probably stick with 4 or 5K with Hyper Smooth 3.0. For the lens mod, I think I like the 2.7K using the 4:3 ratio with linear plus horizon on or off. It works well. The stabilization is just outstanding. The picture is not as crisp because it's not 4 or 5K, but for mountain bike point of view footage, 2.7K I think is the sweet spot in a 4:3 ratio. Just remember to fix the crop in post-editing. So, is the lens mod for you? Well, I do think it beats carrying a heavy gimbal and having to replace batteries in the gimbal during a ride. Plus, sometimes gimbals give out after weeks or months of use. No, it doesn't capture 4 or 5K footage, but there's a reason for that. Just quickly summarizing, the imaging area of the camera sensor, it needs to be cropped to allow for the electronic horizon leveling over 360 degrees rotation within the camera sensor. So tell me your opinions below in the comments. Is the lens mod for you? Would you purchase the Grav Grip, which is a plastic gimbal? It might break in a crash, but it doesn't take any batteries and it's waterproof. So at this point, I just want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time as I invite you with me to travel the narrow trail.